so much energy, so much intellect, so much dynamism, that we tend to lose some time to rest. So on this day, it's kind of freestyle. I was thinking we're going to be comfortable to kind of let our hair down and talk about some things during the week that perhaps have touched the nerve. We talked about the first 100 days in office. What would that look like for you during the week? We had some conversations about what NAFTA is going to look like, what the Dakota pipeline is looking like, what EPA is going to look like. If you're concerned with any of these, and even national topics, you know what I do. My goal is to assess a national platform and then make it local. Because the truth is, and I know that you and I both feel this way, that sometimes there's a disconnect from what is happening from a national platform to what is happening in your household, to what is happening in the community at large. And so we need a conversation and a perspective that sets home. So I'm going to start off a little different. I have the pleasure, the utmost esteemed pleasure, and I'm humbled by the opportunity to be able to have who I believe is my co-host this morning, just not in the studio. The Honorable Son of Man is going to be on the line with me throughout this whole hour. And I know he has an insight that's going to allow us to do what? To continuously focus on the three E's: to educate, enlighten, and empower. And so much so from a historical perspective, because I think that we believe that our history began when we were brought to American slavery. So many times, we don't realize that the abundance of who we are as a collective people, as tribes of people, did not happen when we were brought to these shores. But because we don't know our history, because we don't understand the biblical perspective, the Quran perspective, then we just are kind of out here weightless. And I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer. Yesterday, we had the dialogue. I love, what do we say? That we can always agree to disagree. There's more than one way to have a conversation. And so yesterday, we had some callers that called in who, I guess, felt that they needed to reprimand ownership and they needed to reprimand other hosts that were on the station. And me, I don't have a problem with you exercising your voice. I mean, I have the opportunity, but you're watching the team gave me the opportunity to come on these airwaves and exercise my voice. And so I believe in having a conversation, you should have a voice. But I'm not going to allow individuals to present inappropriate information. How dare I? So there's an issue of respect that we should have for one another. And so I thought that we had an understanding yesterday. It's not a problem, but those things trouble me. So it sat in me yesterday, throughout all the course of my day and my other interactions with individuals and meetings that I had, and I just wondered, why do we do what we do? Because clearly, if we only identify with the history that we've had since we were brought to America and disseminated as slaves, then it has to be what we were taught. Because as I consistently tell you, we were made in America. And a lot of people have seen me and had conversations and they take offense to that. Not a problem, but it's the truth. And I believe the conversations yesterday further supported that made in America concept and construct, that none of our thoughts are original, and that we interact with each other, specifically people of color, based on how others perceive. And so more specifically, I brought back, and you all are going to talk about it, breaking the curse of Willie Lynch. A lot of you are going to say, well, Collette, guess what? Willie Lynch, that's a fabrication. The letter was a fabrication. And my position is, even if it were, all of the components are treaty-based. Everything that we can continuously display and present to each other is a product of us oppressing each other, being non-supportive of each other. And so don't you wonder where that has come from? So I'm going to ask momentarily for Honorable Son of Man to get on the conversation and share and enlighten us this morning. But I want to open up with a quote. You all know that I'm kind of keen on quotes. Quotes are kind of my thing. I love to, that's my way of engaging history because I wasn't there. So I'm going to start us with an opening quote. And it's from our own WEP. I feel that I'm close enough to that I can just web WEP. Right? So, quote, there is still a few of us who are running away to avoid each other with the vague feeling that we shall thus lose ourselves in a world and be free. Let me give that to you one more again because I really want you to understand words. Because words breathe life. So get this, there are still a few of us who are running away to avoid each other with the vague feeling that we shall thus lose ourselves in the world and be free. And so when I got that post, when in my research and reading yesterday, I said, wow, is that who we are with each other right now? That we can dismiss each other, that we can critique each other, not with a positive plan of action that attaches to it, because we're not perfect people. So we can have the dialogue and exchange that maybe suggests that we do things differently, and then say, well, would you consider this, that, and the other? But we don't do that. We come in guns blazing, knives sharp, to hurt, to impel, and then just let us bleed out. There's no bandaging. There's no correcting. There's nothing that will work to make us whole again. We just shoot and impale to bleed out. And you all know that I'm so excited. Son of Man and Savior's Day is coming up February 26th. We're going to talk about that in the conversation as well, because we all need some direction. Is that what it is? I want to hear from you. You all know the number, 313-868-0342. And 313-868-0351 and 313-862-4336. And so I hope that was an introduction to the conversation that is befitting for what we're going to engage in for the next 45 minutes or so. And then so much so for our honorable co-host who's going to be here in words. So great morning to you, Son of Man.
Good morning, Ms. Ramsey.
It's a pleasure to be in conversation with you this morning.
Well, the same here.
Thank you. So, do you have some feedback on what, I know my introduction for what had happened yesterday was kind of quick. I know that you were probably in the midst of your teachings and travel, were able to catch that in the conversation. But can you give a historical perspective for why you believe we just treat each other the way that we do?
Well, actually, the Willie Lynch letter, like the man who tried to pretend that he authored it, and I, just as with those women that was accusing Dr. Cosby, when I began to question him, his story fell apart. The main thing that makes that story that he was trying to say about him authoring that letter falling apart was that you could not find any aspects in that letter that were untrue concerning our relationship with the slave master, Caucasian people, and what was done to us. That's like people calling the Bible a lie when the Bible predicted our slavery. And you can't find any place in history where any people were held in bondage for 400 years to a slave master, unless you look at the history of America. And so, it's like that joke Eddie Murphy told when he said, "You gonna believe me or your lying eyes?" So, I grew up in America. I remember when I hated to be called black. I remember getting in fights with people because they called me black. I remember wishing that I had white parents even. I was wishing to be white. And what do you think all of that, if you saw the movie The Temptation, we was conking our hair. And I never did that, but not because I didn't want to, but because my parents weren't gonna let me. But my older brother, he conked his hair, straightened his hair. All of us was trying to look like white people. And so, even the history, what you talked about, the Negro history, well, that's what they called us. They called us Negroes. And when I was in elementary school, they had what was called Negro History Week. And then we learned about Benjamin Banneker, Crispus Attucks. We learned about Harriet Tubman and some of them, but it was Negro history.
Right.
And that cut us off from the history of us before we were brought to America. And since he called it Negro history, we know, and they are listening, and some of them, and he knows that he did that purposely to disconnect us from our people throughout America. I mean, throughout the diaspora of the planet. And by disconnecting us from them, then this made us, we were completely, and we are a completely new Black people because of our history of slavery. This made us a peculiar people. And that's what the scripture calls us, a peculiar nation. That we are not the same as we were when we were brought here. You know, your experience in life, the experiences that you and I have in life is what actually shapes us. As there's an adage that you hear scholars use sometimes, that man is a creature of habit, but most people don't realize what's meant by that. It means that the habits, the actions and deeds that we practice is what shapes our character. And so we have been shaped when I was in church, I remember this goes way back in my life. It says, born in sin and shaped in iniquity. And that's exactly what we're suffering from now. It's not enough to just know that we have been the victims of slavery. And when I say victims, it's because we couldn't do anything about it. Just like when you become a victim of a disease, then the disease has you at a disadvantage. But if you have the cure, if you know how to cure it, then you are actually not the victim of it. You can overcome it once you understand how to cure it. And likewise, we as a people have been the victims of 400 years of malpractice on our part and misteaching that got us to all of this malpractice. And you don't see, when I say malpractice, I mean the things that we practice, the evils that we practice against each other. As you say, shooting and impaling and then bleeding out. Well, that is basically what we have suffered from as far as those who come to us and say they want to help us, but they really don't know how. Because in order to help us, you have to empower us to look at ourselves as individuals, each one of us. And we have to the first thing that we should do is be honest with ourselves. Be honest enough to acknowledge our own faults, to acknowledge our own selves as an individual, and recognize that, look, I wasn't immune to the slave experience. It happened to me. Now, and it's still happening to me. I'm still practicing what I learned in slavery, which is individualism. We got to the point that so many of the practices of slavery that we practice, we think we authored when we didn't. We didn't author standing around talking loud and making sure that we could be heard a block away. Right. The slave master made us do that, but to make sure we wasn't planning and scheming.
That's right. That's right.
You see, and now we do it, and we think that that's us. Well, no, it's not us. It's the result of our slavery. It's not natural for people to hate their own people. That's not natural. But yet we hate ourselves so much that we're not even ashamed to let it come out of our mouths. And we used to say this, and we still think it if we don't say it. I'm not going to make that nigga rich. We say that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm not going. This is your broadcast, and I'm not going to get on here and talk like it's like and just keep going and going and going.
No, please. This is amazing because so many points that you have hit on, and callers we see you, so we're going to get you in the conversation as well. And I feel like we're, at home. This is a comfortable space, and we're about to have that real conversation because you weren't a part of the dynamics yesterday, but everything that you said was right on. First of all, thank you for the transparency that you get. You honored who you used to be. You honored how you felt, what you desired. So many of us won't even say that. So many of us will say, you know what? I have a problem with being black. I have a problem with associating with people that look like me. I ultimately, innately desire to live someplace else, be somebody else. And be very clear, individual people out here, that just because you, as Son of Man said, might not say it, doesn't mean that your actions don't dictate it. And I just want us to get that. And I want us to understand that no matter from whence we come, it can be better for us. So, Son of Man, do you agree?
Yes. I mean, how in the world are you going to solve your problem if you don't first admit that you have a problem? We lie to ourselves and we say, not me. It's not me. Well, that's what we've been doing ever since. Every time something go wrong, it's always somebody else's fault. It's never us.
Right.
And as long as you blame your troubles on other people, there's an underlying problem with that you don't recognize, but it still exists. And that is, as long as you think and convince yourself that all your problems is the fault of others, then you are actually accepting the fact to yourself that you can't solve the problem because somebody else is creating it, and you have to go to them and ask them to solve it. But when you take responsibility,
yes,
then you for your problem,
yes.
Then you take responsibility for finding the solution. We sit around and we always talking about what's wrong with the black people. Everybody know what's wrong with us. You get a sick man and he may not know everything that's wrong with him, but he don't need the doctor to just tell him what he already know.
Yes.
He need the doctor to tell him how to cure himself.
Right.
And that's what I do. I'm not just here to enumerate problems. I'm here with the solution because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave me the medicine, and I'm healing myself. And I'm just sharing with you the medicine that was given to me by the prophets of God, of that Jesus. If you remember the story of Lazarus,
Yes.
Look at Lazarus' story and look at us and white people. I mean, you look at Detroit. I mean, I love Detroit now. Don't get me wrong. Don't think that I'm dissing Detroit.
Right.
But when you look at the community, since black people have been voting themselves into positions of authority, and all of the white businesses moved out,
Right.
for the most part, and you look at the eyesores that's all over Detroit, just abandoned buildings, all up and down where there used to be bustling businesses. Now they are all abandoned, and just an old abandoned rundown building is called an eyesore.
Yes.
And you look at the story of Lazarus, where it says there was a beggar by the name of Lazarus who was laid at the rich man's gate, full of sores. And look at our community. We round here at the politicians, at the political process and don't understand a thing about it. We went into politics without understanding how politics works. And consequently, we are at the gate, but we didn't get into the yard. And so we just lay there waiting on crumbs. Even when the revenue sharing was already set up, where the state, even though the city collects taxes and sends their portion to the state's supposed to, once they, at some time in the year, they are supposed to share the revenues back with the city.
Yes.
But it never happened because we had children. And when I say children, I don't say that as to insult us.
Right.
Whenever I enter into an arena that I'm not knowledgeable of, I recognize that I'm immediately reduced to the level of a child. And so a child should mostly ask questions. That's what be seen and not heard means. I mean, when you go into the classroom and watch a teacher teaching, you especially in the higher grade levels, you'll notice you see the students in there, but you hear the teacher. Children should be seen, listening, and not heard. Call itself teaching. You know, this is, look at our condition. If we know so much, brother, sister, look at the condition of the Black community. If we know so much, then why is our condition not reflecting our great knowledge? I mean, if you know, you may say, well, that applies to you too. Yes, it does apply to me too.
Right.
But go online. I put something online to let you see.
Right.
Look what you see me doing. I'm not just talking. I'm doing the things that I tell you we need to do. You know, I support the station that we're talking on. I didn't get jealous of that brother when I saw him with that station. I got happy because I recognize that's one of our biggest problems is jealousy and envy. And because we are jealous and envious, we hide it. We attempt to hide that by finding what we say is some fault in the person who has what we envy them for having, and then we'll find some fault in that person.
Right.
But there's not a person walking this planet that you can't find any fault in.
Okay.
If that's all you're looking for, you can go all over this earth and find swamps. If that's all you're looking for, then they can take you, get a map, and you can just go up in a plane or helicopter and go from one spot to another and find nothing but swamps. And pretty soon you say, boy, this sure is an ugly planet.
Right.
Well, you found what you was looking for. But if you look for beauty, then you can go and find much beauty on this planet. And you can also find much beauty in each other. You know, if you see a beautiful manicured lawn, a beautiful home, and with the landscaping and everything, it didn't just get like that.
Right.
Somebody took the time to work that and bring that out. So that's what I try to do when I learned this from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He criticized us. And a lot of his criticism about things that was in us, I noticed it was in me too. But he gave me a mirror to look at myself. Just like you look at yourself before you go outside and you get dressed up and you look at yourself in the mirror. Well, this is what we need to do. Like Michael Jackson, that song that sister wrote for him, said, "The man in the mirror." I mean, when we look in the mirror, that mirror will show us ourselves. And when another person get in front of it, it don't keep showing us; it show them their self. That's the beauty of mirrors. They tell the truth to you. And likewise, we have to reflect and tell the truth to ourselves. If you're messed up, the first step to getting straightened out is to acknowledge that, man, I'm messed up. Let me get myself together. So, like I said, now you go on, sister, and um, whatever. I'm following your lead.
Okay, no, you set the tone. I mean, I just couldn't. I felt like I could just drop the mic
No,
because everything that you were open with us about is exactly the tone from yesterday. Instead of us calling in and fussing about what the leadership is doing, I asked her. I said, well, if you say that they aren't doing what they're supposed to do, did you have a plan to present to them on what they needed to do for you? So are we mad that leadership isn't doing what they said because of what we need? Or you just let them say whatever they were going to say and they're doing it and it doesn't benefit us? I mean, it was just like you were right there. We're talking about democracy. How do you say that we are in a democracy? We know that we're not living a democracy, but you can't fix it until you acknowledge that it is not a democracy.
That's right.
And it was hurt. I mean, it was just like you were right there.
What happened to her voice?
You hear me?
Okay, now, okay.
Okay, you got me? So
yes.
Yeah, it was just like you were right there. And so I appreciate it. Why don't we go, let's take a call. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's take a call and see. Everyone, thank you so much for your patience. You're part of the conversation. Are you there, caller?
Good morning.
Great morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my take on our history, and I'm only talking about the history of the working class, those who work and those who are unemployed workers. When we came out of slavery, of commercial direct slavery, we went into sharecropping and terrorism to keep us on those plantations. That lasted up to 1945, after World War II. The Western Europe was tore up during the war. And before during the war, they had to be gave a market so they could accumulate the dollars. Because a country don't have the other country's currency, they can't have trade. So they decided in workers during the Truman administration and the Eisenhower administration was dominant Democratic country. They just decided, as blacks was being thrown off the board because of mechanical cotton picker in the middle party, they were going to move out all industries, manufacturing, so that they had a war with Russia. Russia would be able to stop our production. Especially, the reason they did that, they didn't want the white population to suffer, but us as reserve labor force, blacks, to come into the city to suffer. So they moved out all the classes of manufacturing. Let's call that suburbanization. After suburbanization, when blacks came to the cities and found strength in numbers and had that heroic boycott in 1945, and then in 1960 had those mass demonstrations started in Birmingham, and King and John F. Kennedy, the president, had differences over the march. So John F. Kennedy came on the national TV, I remember hearing it, saying that marching caused tension. King said, we need a little tension. So at that time, John Kennedy, before he was assassinated, wrote an immigration bill. That immigration bill, as he died, was carried out by the Senate of Manuel in New York, a representative, and Bill Hart is what Hart Pastor name does. He was a senator. They introduced that bill, the immigration bill in Washington. And it came out in 1965. But it didn't come into effect until 68. That means they were going to replace us in the city with immigrants and disperse us because we were dangerous people when we were together. And that's why we are being dispersed out of the city to suburbs. So in that situation, when I look at the program of fighting that condition, when I see a group say they want to separate, they don't tell me where they want to separate, but then ask the very government to that oppress us to give them rights. They'll not see a group that we were the first people here, and there was a treaty, and have to go to the enemy's court to get so-called recognition. I know those two programs is no program for the masses of people in this country. Black people I'm talking about. So what I'm seeing in the country is that we got a bigger picture. And I'm seeing that you got a lot of whites, they call not in the workforce. Last time I took it, 93 million. And those 93 million every year is growing. 3 million come out of high school approximately. 3 million come out of college and 10 times out. Okay. So I see our house is destroying the system that finds black and useless even they don't need us no more. I don't want to have land within there and let us all get along. I don't want the court to say, oh, this is ours and here you can have this. I don't want those types of programs. Those programs end up supporting the system that oppresses the majority of black people in this country. So I would just say this. Donald Trump, just yesterday, he said he's going to charge 20% on the imports coming from Russia. And when they dissected it, they found out that the 6 million of workers in this country depends on trade with Mexico. 27% of our production goes for export. So he could pass on that. He organized the workers. I said, hooray. I wanted him in there. Why did he in there strategically? Because he was going to speed up the day that have the overthrow of capitalism in this country. Black, we must march with time. We cannot go back in history.
Okay. I appreciate your comment.
Okay, now.
Okay, everyone. Now listen to what he just said. And you all know, you follow that President Trump did make some announcements that he kind of on Mexico imports coming into the United States, typically still strong. So, Senator, what do you think overall? You have some feedback. I mean, the caller gave us a historical perspective of how he saw the role of government with African Americans throughout history. I believe he would, of course, reference some initial points of the indigenous people already here. And then I guess summing it up to getting us to the here and now, that the way I gathered was that we really don't have a place in this. Do you have some feedback on this?
Well, the thing that I found, if just like my brother just now, he enumerated a lot of things, but he never really proved those things other than just to himself. That's the one reason why when I'm on the air, I tell people to stop me at any point that I say something that they disagree with, because that's one of the major problems with us, is that we think because we think a thing and we can't find no fault in it, that it must be right. And the messenger taught me, and Solomon did too. When I say the messenger, I mean the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But he and Solomon both said the same thing. Solomon said, As iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his brother. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, as steel sharpens steel, man sharpens man. I don't just know about sharecropping. The thing that all of us know about sharecropping, all of us know about slavery. If you grew up in America, they taught us, even in their school system, that they enslaved us. But they told us that they freed us. And we bought that. We right now running around here saying that we are free. Then what are you still doing here working for white people? We were never set free.
Right.
We were never given, as Ronald Reagan said, you know, if you really want to know the truth about life, don't listen to them so much as when they talking to you. Pay attention when they talking to each other. For when Ronald Reagan was defending and justifying America's support of Israel, he said that Israel has a right to a state and to survive. And he said, where there is no land, there can be no freedom. Now, he said that. Didn't nobody disagree with him?
Right. Right.
So when they said we were free, they knew we didn't know what freedom is. And that's and just like sharecropping. The brother brought up sharecropping. Why did we sharecrop? We sharecrop because we didn't know what freedom is. We thought freedom meant getting paid for your labor. That's not freedom. You know, freedom is when you control your own destiny. You create your own jobs, and it has nothing to do with other people's money. The white man created his own monetary system, and other governments followed suit. They did the same. But we don't think like that. And you know, just like brother probably, he may be a little perturbed with me now because I'm picking apart some of the things he said to show that he's not knowledgeable enough to stand and tell us how we should do. I mean, I'm not ego tripping, brother. And you know, I'm not on no ego trip, trying to just get up in front of people to talk to people just to be talking. I'm tired of watching us go from one generation to the next, giving awards to leaders, giving our wealth and our money to people in support of them, and watching our condition, instead of getting better, getting worse. Now, if you want your condition, if you're in a bad condition and you want it to change, then the only way you're going to change it is you got to change what you've been doing that has led you to that condition. Now, we got every time you look up, it's a bunch of people standing up talking and telling us what's wrong with us. And then when you look to ask them, what are you doing, man? What do you have going to show me that you know what you're talking about? As the book of James says, know ye, O vain man, know ye not, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? If all you can do is philosophize, then you're not a leader, you're a philosopher. You're not leading until you are showing the way and doing the way. And that takes more than just standing up with a suit and tie on and talking to people.
That's right. That's right.
And so
help me understand if I can. The New Nation of Islam, you have a vision that is faith and work and action. It's actively engaged. received?
Well, for the most part, in the city of Detroit, I have been received actually in better than I have here where I'm living. But as far as the opportunities go, I found more opportunity to get here and practice building and to do what we say we believe in. I found Mississippi to be the most open to that. I found the messenger's words to be true when he said that if the black man of America will respect himself and will get up and do for himself, his once slave master will come and respect him and help him to do something for self. Now, I found that the Caucasian people in Mississippi here, bankers and everybody else, if you trying to do for yourself and they see that you are doing that, they get out your way. They help, but going to them asking for a handout, now that's a different story.
Okay, now Chico, that's what can I reiterate that again? Did you all hear? Son of Man said, people will help you when they see you doing for yourself. Did you all get that? You're actively doing for yourself. You created a plan. You have a collective, and you're making momentum and taking steps towards what you have identified as your goal. And so if they want to, it's like a train that's moving. So if the little cabin is open and the train is going and you can jump on board, absolutely jump on board. But it doesn't stop their momentum.
Right.
It stops our momentum. So if, to the point earlier that we've been discussing, in the city of Detroit, if you have a plan and you are actively working your plan, if they jump on board to help, no problem, but it shouldn't stop our progress. Our problem is we don't have a plan. And we keep holding everybody accountable for our successes or failures, but we haven't had a plan for ourselves.
We've had the wrong representation. The people who have been representing us didn't have plans that included us. The plan was to get us all in a big room somewhere and pass a collection plate or whatnot. That's why you see what is all these churches for? What is all these places where mosques and all these places that people have put up? One purpose is to get a group of people, a bunch of people in an area, and then put on a show of righteousness. I said a show of righteousness. I mean, you notice a show is something that is not real. It's just there. It's a show. And then at the end, they get some money. And what do they do with your money? They take your money and they go do something for their individual selves. And that's not what I'm about. That's not what I believe in. I've watched that all my life. I grew up in poverty. So I'm no stranger to poverty. I grew up in Watts. And I watched preachers and I watched those who were religious people. I watched them, they take up money and I'm looking to see what they was doing, and they was driving Cadillacs. They was driving nice things. But the community that was supporting them didn't have anything. And I'm never going to let myself become what I thought was so ugly. And if I take from you, I intend to make sure you see some kind of benefit from what I've taken from you. And if you give me time, I got some things that I'm working on for you right now. And I didn't just take your money. If you think that, you remember the 3-year plan to help the station burn the mortgage? You saw that happen. This job of getting us up is going to take not just desire is going to take know-how. You got a man who knows how to operate a radio and television station, then why wouldn't you support him since you don't know how? You got black people that are doctors and nurses and whatnot, and got hospitals up there boarded up, and we won't get together with them and say, look, brother, sister, y'all know how to run a hospital. Well, why don't we purchase this building and fix it up? We got carpenters, we got electricians, we have people that know how to do all that, because we do it for white people. And yet we won't get together and do it for ourselves. There's no strength in numbers. That's the lie the white man taught you. Numbers don't make you strong. Numbers make you vulnerable. You look at the lion when he go and hunt for food. He loved to see a herd of deer or a herd of antelopes or sheep. Then he get them running. They a bunch of individuals. They all running, and then he cut out the one that he want, and he go and get it. He go and eat him. That's no strength in numbers. There's strength in unity. Unity is not just numbers. It's what is 100? 100 is one number. It's composed of 99 plus 1. And when you got 100 that act as one, then you have some strength. You can take 10 people in unity, and they can rule 10,000 people that's individuals. And that's what's been happening to us. I mean, you look at, how can we grow up in this world and didn't learn nothing? If you played football, didn't they teach you unity? They taught you teamwork.
Right.
Everybody has a job to do. And get in the huddle. And then when we was playing football, even though we didn't call them 47 quicks and all that, we started saying, look, you block that man over there, and you block him, and look, I'm gonna send you, and you go down, run out, and you gonna do a hook. Now all of it, and when the ball is snapped, everybody do what they was told to do. Because you are trying, you notice they call the where you score, they call it the goal line. You set a goal for yourself, and then you work in unity to send yourself to the goal that you set for yourself. Look at what they did. They set a goal. President Kennedy set a goal to reach the moon within that decade. They did. They went to Mars. They set a goal. And then the team, they even used some of our women to teach them how to get out in space and get back here.
Say that. Let's put them in if I can. Our time, this is amazing. You know, our time is up.
Yes, ma'am, I know.
Our time is up.
I'm sorry.
This is an amazing conversation, but please, sir, as well, we have Savior's Day that's coming up.
Yes, ma'am.
2017, February the 26th. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes,
Right Museum.
I want all of you to, I'd like to meet with all of you to fill that place up, and we come out there, and I'm not just going to bring you there to get your money. I want you. I want us to come together and with vision. But you remember the scripture said, where there is no vision, the people perish. The blind can't lead the blind. It takes somebody that has vision to lead blind people. Okay, so that's Savior's Day. I want to invite you all to come out, and we will share some things with you that I know will help you. I know will help you because it's helping us. I mean, if it's helping me, I know it will help you. If it ain't doing nothing for me, then why should I offer it to you?
Okay?
Okay.
This conversation is definitely has helped us. It is helping us. And everyone, you see it an injustice, serve an injustice to yourself if you didn't come out to hear the message from Son of Man. And now everyone, that's going to be on Savior's Day, 2017, February the 26th, at 3 p.m. at the Charles A. Wright Museum. Of course, we have information at the station, you all, and you can get additional information if you go to www.thenewnationofislam.com. And we'll continuously have that conversation because our goal is to keep us educated and then present it with viable solutions, to have a plan of action to maintain momentum. So, man, it's been a pleasure.
Well, same here, Miss Ramsey.
So much. We thank you. Everyone, it's been an amazing time together. Always so quick, but definitely engaging, enlightening, and empowering. So please think, become better, be open to growth with each other, and just, make it happen for yourself. I mean, that's what it's about. Because once you acknowledge you, then we can be better for us. But we have to help each other because the truth is we're all in this together.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your time. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all next week.
All right.